President Bill Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the fourth meeting of CGI America. I want to begin by thanking all of our sponsors for making this meeting possible. I want to thank Governor John Hickenlooper, and you'll hear from him in just a moment, Mayor Michael Hancock, and the people of Denver, who've given us great support and warm hospitality. Our first meeting here in Denver marks a new chapter in the model we've been working on now for 4 years, trying to prove that what we do with the larger CGI meeting in September can work to help revive the American economy and build a broader-based prosperity. So far, CGI America attendees have made 300 commitments to action, which are having a positive impact on the lives of about 1 million of our fellow citizens. My favorite one has been going on for a few years now. Well, one of my two favorite ones, the other one we're talking about tomorrow. But the Carnegie Corporation started out with 12 partners to see whether, given the gridlock in Congress, we could respond to President Obama's call for 100,000 more STEM teachers in America. Today, they have raised $63 million. They have 200 partners. There are 12,443 more STEM teachers, and by 2016, there will be 44,000 more. So 44% of what was intended to be a 100% government-funded commitment from taxpayer funds is going to be handled as a result of a CGI commitment. And I think we should be very proud of that. Obviously, most of these commitments will involve smaller sums that are more targeted. There's a particularly exciting STEM commitment involving Denver and putting 200 more STEM-educated young people into the economic mix here. But let me give you an example. Hope Credit Union made a commitment 2 years ago in 2012 to serve people who were in what they called bank deserts in the Mid-South, where local banks were closing up or just not serving low-income working people. They said they would double their presence and roll out mobile financial services to reach underserved households in remote rural areas. For example, they opened a new branch in Utica, Mississippi, when the only bank in town said they were closing down. They also opened a micro branch on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, which is Arkansas's historically African-American university. Students were hired to help members use technology and other means to address their financial needs. Since the commitment was made, just since their last update, that is in 2013, we don't have any 2014 numbers yet, this one project has more than doubled their mobile app users from 1,100 to more than 2,600, closed more than 1,800 loans and other investments for a total of almost $57 million. That is a lot of money in rural middle America. And I think that that is emblematic of the kind of thing that we could be doing everywhere from people who believe we can build economic opportunity at the bottom of the pyramid. In 2012, the PASS Foundation and its partners committed to improve STEM education in rural and Native American reservation schools in South Dakota by equipping 450 teachers with the necessary training to implement an innovative and culturally relevant approach to teaching. It's now known as the South Dakota Innovation Lab, a statewide STEM professional development effort that so far has provided more than 8,300 students with access to quality education that meets them where they are and prepares them for the modern economy. You'll hear about a lot more commitments that are being made here that I find very exciting. The average financial crash worldwide takes countries 10 years to get over. Japan, arguably working on 20 years. The Great Depression, which began in 1929, was really escaped only by the shock impact of the massive investments required for World War II. The financial crises in America in 1873 and 1893 took a decade to get over. We have recovered, just a month ago, all the jobs in raw numbers that were lost in the recession. But the new jobs are disproportionately in lower wage categories, and while manufacturing is growing, we have not recovered anywhere near all the manufacturing jobs that were lost. The pace of filling posted employment notices is much slower than in previous post-recessionary periods. Most of the income and virtually 100% of the wealth growth has been concentrated at the very top of the economic ladder. Social mobility, as you'll hear in a moment, has been slowing down in America, and that's a fancy phrase for the American dream. So we still have a lot of interesting challenges. I read the other day an interesting article about how restaurant chains that serve middle-class people are in trouble because they don't have enough disposable income to eat out. Restaurant chains that serve upper-income people and very low-income people are growing like crazy. That's not good for us. And we at CGI should be trying to build a more inclusive model of capitalism, one of shared prosperity. I think it's worth pointing out that we are meeting on the 100th anniversary of the outbreak of World War I. Before the war broke out, the wealthiest countries in the world were actually more trade dependent as a percentage of their GDP than the wealthy countries today are. And there are all these happy-go-lucky people that said, oh, look, everybody's making so much money, we'll never have another world war. Then the Archduke Ferdinand was killed in Sarajevo, and we were off to the races. I say that not to predict another world war, but to point out that the economic dependence today is amplified dramatically by the fact that more than $1 trillion crosses national borders every day, and that the interdependence of the world, because of immigration and travel and refugees, the largest number in 50 years, and most important of all, information technology sharing, the social media, the interdependence that exists in the world today is far thicker, more various, presenting more opportunities and more hazards than ever before. Power and influence are dispersed, which gives enormous opportunity to build creative coalitions for doing good things, and also provides enormous opportunities for people who want to divide us for less than worthy aims. In other words, what we're doing here is one example of what I think is the major work that thoughtful people in America and around the world will be involved in for at least the next 30 years. We are attempting to define the terms of American interdependence so we can get positive outcomes. All over the world, there are people who are seeking to take advantage of our interdependence to amplify conflict and the reach of power. You are involved in something really, really, really important, and we still have a lot of work to do. Denver's a good place for us to be starting this new chapter in the life of CGI America. In so many ways, it represents the spirit of innovation, of growth. It's got a commitment to both traditional energy and clean energy, private sector government, nonprofits working together. They even have a central facility here which offers housing and other kinds of connections for their growing NGO community. Yesterday, I visited the Stout Street Center that serves the homeless with health care, and on top of all the health facilities, there are apartments that were built sustainably, including reusing the pine from destroyed pine trees because of the pine beetle, a direct consequence of climate change and the beetles moving north. And in these apartments, two-bedroom apartments, the average electric bill is $25 a month. So this is an exciting place to be, to discuss new ideas and form new partnerships. Just remember, I know I say this like a broken record, everywhere in America and everywhere in the world, people are crossing the lines that divide them to work together, good things are happening. Every place in America and every place in the world, people are standing across from each other in the 21st century equivalent of the trenches dug in World War I, whether they're literal or figurative, good things are not happening. So we're being given a chance to create inclusive capitalism, and in so doing, to better define the terms of our interdependence. I want to say a special word of appreciation to Governor Hickenlooper, whom I have known and admired for a few years now, and ask him to take the stage to make a few remarks. Governor Hickenlooper.
Well, thank you, President Clinton. We are delighted to have CGI here. I don't think I can express to have President Clinton, Secretary Clinton, and now Dr. Clinton. I think I wanted to be the first person to say that now that Chelsea has finished her PhD. Also want to recognize our mayor, Michael Hancock, who's out there somewhere in that dark ether I can't see through, for his leadership and commitment, and to all the other leaders, not just from Colorado, but from all over this country and all over the world. The brain power and commitment and passion that CGI brings together is truly inspiring, and we could not be more honored that Colorado has chosen to host CGI America 2014. CGI, and I went a couple years ago, is all about collaboration and action. Those two things put together. And that's a lot of what Colorado and Denver is about. If you look at metropolitan Denver was, I think, the only city still that for the entire metropolitan area has a 0.1% sales tax that goes to the cultural and scientific facilities. The mayors came together in 2004. 34 out of 34 mayors unanimously supported 0.4% sales tax for a metropolitan light rail system, probably the 119 miles of new track, I think still the largest initiative in the history. Today we're going to be looking at, through that lens of collaboration and then action, one of the real issues that affects this country, I think, more than any, because it is, as the President said, part of the American dream. Our unemployment has come down. Here we're down to 5.8%. The country's unemployment, I think, is down to 6.3%. But still, almost a third of that unemployment is long-term unemployment, right? People that have been unemployed for over a year. For those people that are really struggling to readjust. And I came out here as a geologist. I got laid off back in 1986. Our company got sold. And before I ended up starting a restaurant because, well, it turned out I wasn't as good a geologist as I thought I was. But there was a couple years there, and it changes the way you relate to your families, to your friends and your neighbors, the way you look at a mirror. You don't trust what you've always assumed. And I think you look at so many Americans going through that challenge right now, and not to mention the ones who are working 2 jobs to make ends meet or underemployed. The challenges are immense, and it's very hard for them to even imagine upward mobility. I think what's clear, and has been clear for a long time, when it comes to issues around economic mobility, when it comes to economic justice, which is really the topic for the discussion this morning, there's not going to be a single issue answer. Economic justice, mobility, opportunity, these ideals and expectations, just like the pursuit of happiness, are at the core of the American dream. And the challenges related to ensuring that this dream can be a reality for everyone willing to work hard really does require a holistic approach. Choices we make about energy and healthcare, education, the environment, all of these are linked to economic justice, to creating a robust economy that includes all people, to broad-scale job creation, and to fairness. Economic justice and opportunity begin with frank discussions and creative brainstormings about new ways to address it. The realization that if we do work together, our fortunes and failures are inextricably linked. And most importantly, that we are committed to action. Which is why CGI, this initiative of the Clinton Foundation, and discussions like it are so important. Pope Francis has been outspoken on issues related to economic justice. He has said that in the world of finance, it is important that we serve the interests of people and the common good of humanity. The world of finance needs to serve the interests of people and the common good of humanity. You put it another way, we must strive for a balance wherein our bold, capitalistic aspirations are in a harmony with our obligations to our fellow man. Honored to have CGI America 2014 here, and look forward to this discussion and especially the actions that are going to come out of it.